Hey, how's it going? Just sitting here putting together a few homebrews, making a bit of a commentary. This is not going to be one of those ones that is going to blow your mind. For those who've seen some of my previous videos, this is probably one you'd skip through. It's probably the most boring one I've ever made. In fact, I'm only making it to test out this new device because I'm not, as you know, all that up to speed. Yeah, that's the right term. All that up to speed with technology. It's not necessarily a sign of intelligence to be brilliant at stuff like video recording and whatnot. In fact, what could actually be a sign of intelligence is survival. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm that great at surviving either. I mean, I'm on my last legs here actually, putting together this final brew, but how shall we put it into don't worry, that's the fresh one. This is what I made earlier. It's all good. How shall we determine intelligence? I mean, technically, survival doesn't really have anything to do with intelligence so much as it has to do with brute force and your ability to procreate, you know, rape as many women as possible and have as many offspring. That would be a sign of ability to survive, because we don't survive. None of us live forever. I mean, not saying none of us. I'm sure that there are one or two immortals out there who I haven't met yet. But being immortal in a particular body isn't necessarily survival either. I mean, when you think about it, what is survival? Keeping your genetic code going, or keeping this particular body alive? I guess that was really survival. So procreation has got nothing to do with survival. In fact, a lot of things in nature have this inbuilt sense, sixth sense, pardon me, where, for example, a tree, knowing it's about to be chopped down, might just start going into fruition or pollination or something. And it's said that this is quite a strong sensation throughout nature. That when something knows it's about to die, it basically tries to procreate faster than before. Which is bringing me around to a point I'm trying to make is that the one most likely and capable of procreation is the one who is fearing or feeling its imminent death more quickly. I can remember this theoretical proposition made when we were younger. The world's about to end in 30 minutes. Everybody's going to die. What are you going to do? And myself, like many other teenagers at the time, we would just say, oh well, if we're all going to die, we'd just go and find a woman to go and make love with. And if she objected, well, we probably wouldn't take no for an answer. So when you think about it, this is hypothetical, mind you. We're not rapists. It's not a rape if no one hears us say no in the forest. That was a joke. Don't get me wrong. Happy about the state of this bottle. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, in the middle of a forest. 30 minutes left to live. That's pretty much what you would do. Well, fuck it. We've got nothing left to live for. What's the most highly pleasurable pursuit we could do with 30 minutes left to go? Go and have sex and see if you can have a big orgasm before the final one. And if you look into it too, actually, in a lot of Eastern mythology, or I don't know what the word is, Eastern thought, philosophy. I hope I get back to this one because actually this is really cool. Philosophy. When you come back to it, what they call an orgasm is referred to as a little death. A little death. So in other words, part of your living spirit is being ejected from your body, and the vast majority of it will die. If you're very, very lucky, one tiny little speck of that, microscopic, might actually go on to make another human. So it's pretty cool, but that other human isn't you. I should know, I've made 3 that I'm aware of, and none of them are me. They're just, I hate that term, offspring. Offspring? Why do we say offspring? See, I can go down many rabbit holes. Offspring I could talk about for 5 minutes. Let's see if I can give it 20 seconds. On lid. Offspring. Well, what a word, because we know that nature, every creature in nature, procreates in spring, except the human. And why doesn't the human? Why do we procreate offspring or out of spring? It's because we're out of tune with nature. And I've got many theories, but my biggest one always comes back to the moon. The moon. The moon is why we're out of touch with nature. The moon is there to fool us. And this is something I'm discussing currently on one of my Facebook groups, to do with, we call it backyard flat earth experiments. And I'm not a main contributor to the group, but the main guy has actually been generous enough to recognise my efforts towards the flat earth understanding of truth, and he's made me one of the admins. And I probably should let it be known when I type as an admin or respond as an admin that it is me personally, not backyard flat earth experiments. But sometimes I don't get a choice in the matter. I don't get a say. It just comes up. Anyway, the current conversation is about the moon and my personal understanding that it is put there, not specifically by, but specifically on behalf of the Great Deceiver. Now, the Great Deceiver, this is one of the trickiest things for us to understand. My most recent response just this evening, while I was even starting to bottle here, was along the lines that I don't know what specifically he is, but my gut instinct says he is an eternal being of some sorts, and he may even be able to take a human form. I don't know for sure, I'm just saying, but I think he does, and if not, he's more of an ethereal form where he can and I don't mean he gender specific, I'm just saying that it may be able to manipulate thoughts or feelings or even other things around us. And I think that once upon a time, way back in our history, this is one of my favourite subjects at the moment actually, is about the ancient history that is hidden from us. There used to be giant trees and there used to be giants, and I think these giants were like massive giants, not like 14 foot or something. I'm talking 60, 100 foot big motherfuckers. And these people, if you can call them that, they were a race of beings, but they were not humans the way we are. They were massive motherfuckers. And I'm running out of caps. It's alright, you don't have to stress out. I've got another bag of 100 upstairs, but they're upstairs. I'm trying to make a point here and I've got no idea what it is. So the giants were also deceived. They were also under control. Okay, I'm going to start throwing some specific words about. Under control of the Lord. Now if you think about that word, the Lord, or Lord, to lord something over somebody, to be somebody's lord, to be their landlord, basically means they are the owner of your land, and they lord it over you, and they demand payment as part of your existence to be there. And this is what the Lord of the Bible is pretty much all about. Think about it. He's given you free will, but if you don't pay whatever you want to call it, rent, penance, dues, taxes, whatever if you don't pay allegiance, that's the word I'm looking for, if you don't pay allegiance to the Lord, then your punishment will be eternal suffering. So obviously everybody would prefer to comply, because, you know, the whole carrot and the stick thing, the carrot is a greater reward even if you never quite reach it. It's far better than the stick, which you know will reach you if you don't strive for the carrot, if you aren't constantly striving for this ideal, this dream, this pursuit that you must serve the Lord. And you'll get the stick, which in the case of this is eternal suffering in the eternal fire burning forever and ever. I feel like I'm wasting time here. I've got a bearded bottle. So the Lord, the great deceiver, there's a massive difference in anything biblical you can read between God and the Lord. The Lord is not God. Why would God demand anything of his children? You know, if he set his children free and gave them free will, as he did with all the angels, all the beings in existence, then why would he demand anything in payment? He wouldn't. That's hypocrisy. And God is not Hippocrates? Was that his real name? He wasn't the... Well, he might have been the founding father of modern medicine, that's a good point. But he wasn't hypocritical. Above all, do no harm. Destroy not that which I have created. Go out and fill the universe with little creations of yourself. That's what God said. He demanded nothing. He gave us free will. He just said, destroy not that which I've created. Love one another. Do only to each other as you would have done to yourself. It's all very straightforward. There was none of this, thou shalt not or suffer eternal punishment. That came in like millennia. I just created a word, yes, millennia down the track of people who just lost the way. That's all. That's the only reason Moses went up to the mountains to pray for guidance as to how he should lead his people into freedom, was, my people are lost. They've been in slavery for generations. I've come to set them free. I want to take them to the promised land. Give me some guidance, dear Heavenly Father, that I may help them into freedom, in exodus from enslavement. And so God says, all right, get out your frickin' chisel, mate. Knock this stuff into stone. This is going to work, you know. Tell them to honour, you know, the Heavenly Father, the loving spirit that shines down them all, and the earthly mother, the one who bears us in her womb, who gives us everything we have. Tell them to do that. That shouldn't be too hard, because honestly, where does everything come from? It comes from the life that springs from the mother, which is shone down upon by the Father. So honour thy Heavenly Father and thy earthly ma. Cool. That shouldn't be too hard for my people. I'm showing my ignorance here because I don't even know what all the 10 commandments are, even though I actually call them commandments. Don't tell anybody. The 10 commandments. Number 2, they used to drum this into me as a kid. I remember to keep the Lord's day holy. Okay, so any day that the sun is shining, every day that ends in Y, they're all holy. You got no choice. Stop looking for an excuse, a scapegoat to only behave according to God's laws when it comes to your interpretation of beliefs. Number 3. Okay. Bear with me. Yes. Okay, Google. What are the 10 commandments?
Here's some information about 10 commandments.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That sounds more like the Lord. I'm not a fan of that one. Thou shalt not worship any graven image. What do you hear the globe believers constantly say? Show me a model. I want to see a model. Where's the map? I want to see the map. Why can't you show me a model or a map? They just want to see a graven image because they cannot understand the glory of God all around us. Cannot be. Sorry. These aren't the way I remember them. Thou shalt not take God's name in vain. That means you shouldn't say the great deceiver. Because it's blasphemy. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Well, I've gone into that. Every day the sun shines. Every day is holy. Every moment is holy. Honour thy father and thy mother. Heavenly Father, earthly mother. Not your mum and your dad. You automatically honour them if you're treating others as you wish to be treated. Thou shalt not kill. Now this is a big one that a lot of people get very mistaken. Thou shalt not kill. In another way of saying that, it is saying, destroy not that which I have created. Because God is the creator of life. So if you are deliberately killing without a purpose, not to save a life, not because you are starving to death and you've got no choice, but you are just killing, then you are destroying that which the Lord thy God has created. And I hate saying that, the Lord thy God, because the God is not a Lord. The God is a loving, giving God. He's given us everything. We don't need to kill in order to survive. And if we do, then we're disobeying one of the commandments, whether you interpret that as murder or not. Now, killing another human, that's murder. But it specifically says, thou shalt not kill. And what else does it say in the Bible about what we should be eating? It says, we have all the green-leafed herbs and seed-bearing fruits, or words to that effect. So, to pluck leaves off a plant is not to kill the plant. It's not like plucking a limb off a living creature either, because the plant will flourish, and where you pluck one, it will grow back two. Where you pluck a fruit off a tree, you're not killing the tree, you're enhancing the tree, you're eating its fruit, you're hopefully keeping the seeds and planting them, then helping the survival of the tree. This is exactly as we were instructed. What we're meant to be doing here on this plane is not to kill, but to enhance life. And eating plants and fruits and leaves and whatnot enhances life, enhances the living productivity of the plant, which absorbs sunlight directly, taking the nutrients out of the Mother Earth, which we may take in if we feel necessary. It's so much common sense. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Now that's a sexual one. They would never explain this one to me in school because they said, oh, this is for adults, and you don't have to worry about that. But basically it means don't go fornicating for pleasure's sake alone. Mean it when you make love with somebody. Make sure that they are free, as in not already taken in partnership with somebody else. And if you're both willingly obliging to be with one another and end up having pleasure, then that's absolutely fine. But adultery, in that word, has this connotation that there's something other than adult, which there's no other way to describe it. It means child. So it means don't do adult things with children. It is specifically forbidding being a fucking pedophile. And pedos are breaking that commandment. Don't do it. Don't trick a young child into doing something that they are physically and biologically not ready for. Wait until they are of a proper age, you know, adulthood, 20, 21, and then if they consent, then by all means, you know, if that's what gives you both mutual pleasure and so forth, then not a problem. But to be an adult and to force yourself upon somebody who is not psychologically, physically, and so forth ready, that's a sin. And it's one of the ones according to the 10 Commandments, an abomination. Thou shalt not steal. I mean, that goes without saying. You know, if you want to treat others as you would be treated, then it benefits nobody to steal from them, to take from them something that's theirs. And if you do take it without permission, then you must repay it. And the debts of repayment are generally 7 times, as we can see in the laws of usury. Some say 3 times, but the true debt is 7. And unfortunately, with this concept of usury, is that they end up being the ones stealing from us, but only because we give them consent by signing on the line. So be wary of that. Don't be fooled by deceivers. It's getting a bit small to read here. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Now that also means thou shalt not lie, but it also means thou shalt not bear false witness, which means make false claims about somebody. So you might not like somebody, you might be really peeved off with them, but to bear false witness, not that I believe in the courts of law of men, but this is what it is testifying to, once again proving that this is all put out by the great deceiver, mixing a lot of truth in with a lot of deception, because he wants his laws to stand up in the court of law of man. And so when you bear false witness, that's basically perjury. You are telling lie under oath. Now, in everyday life, people think, well, that's okay, we can get away with that because we're not under oath. Not in God's court. Every day is God's court. Every day is Sunday. Every day is Christmas. And everything you do and say is under oath. And you have free will. God has always granted you that. That is the beauty of free will, is that you have the choice to do honour or dishonour to yourself. You might cause harm to others as well, but ultimately, whatever harm you cause is to yourself. Are you true? Are you honest? Are you fair dinkum? And number 10 says, thou shalt not covet. Well, there you have it. Covet just means if you see somebody with other possessions which you would like, it's kind of like a lust. It's pretty much what covet means. Thou shalt not lust after other people's stuff. Now that's a tricky one as well, because we are designed to want stuff, to enhance our lives. So what it means is thou shalt not covet